Hey guys, so I really apologize for the long delay between videos. I had computer problems, and my wife's job started working her 6 days a week because she made some teary-eyed complaints about what was going on. She had a lot of stress, and they went, "No, that's really good. Glad you noticed things. Um, just go balls to the wall." And so they've been working her and having her around to fix the things that she has talked about there being a problem. So she made a complaint. They said, yeah, sure, you get to help fix it, and things are theoretically getting better, but she's working her tuchus off. I also got a part-time job, and I'm working on the motorcycle to make it much more usable. Been adding some saddlebags, but required some minor league modification of the bike, the structure of the bike. And yes, by the way, anyone who doesn't know, I ride a '94 Kawasaki Vulcan 750, and that's my main transport when we don't have our car. And I apologize for sweating like a pig. It's as you can see, that is a 1950s era heater. This apartment complex was built in the 50s. I live in a much more urbanized section of Reno, so I'm going to be sweating here, and it's in the hundreds, like it is all over the West Coast. So this is about bullying, and I'm gonna kind of tell you a couple of things. Kind of the highlights of this video is I believe it's partly I believe some is necessary, and I believe that it's unavoidable, and I believe that if it is avoidable, we still shouldn't avoid it because of other issues that it helps solve later in life, and that if you're an Aspie, congratulations, you're gonna get bullied. Just learn to deal with it. Um, then there's no right way. Okay, so let's go with it. Why do I believe it's necessary? Um, because it's the stress test of interpersonal relationships. People will bully other people if there's not a power imbalance. They'll create a power imbalance and try to exploit it. Yada yada yada. All that interpersonal conflict theory. But basically, it boils down to kids push each other around, and that's okay. They are learning social skills. They are learning how to deal with each other. And a fist fight between 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds and even 12-year-olds, you know what? That's all right. Hell, even in high school, a fist fight isn't gonna kill someone. You know what? If someone's getting bullied and bullied and bullied, and they have no one to turn to get help, to learn to deal with the bullies, because not everyone's gonna figure it out, and they need help. That's a problem. When the support structure around the kids isn't working, that's a problem. Think of it like two boxers in a ring. Okay, you've got your corner men, you've got your cut men, you've got your coach, you've got the judges, you've got the referee. These two guys are fighting. Boom, boom, boom. Same thing in the UFC. You got all those people. These two guys are fighting, and there is a certain level of violence even in the UFC that is allowed, and that does include breaking bones. There's a couple of UFC fighters that have famously broken bones and kept fighting. However, nothing was poking out. So there was still a level of violence that was okay, even in the UFC, that you don't get to go beyond. And I think that, in a school situation, an elementary school situation, a busted lip, a bruise, a cut above the eye, um, that's fine. Broken bones, knocked out teeth, broken jaws, not cool. But a couple of 5-year-olds, boom, 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 you know what? That happens. So if a little kid who's being bullied by a bigger kid learns to stand up for themselves, learns how to have a spine, learns that it's okay to fight back. And that's one of the things about zero tolerance policies in schools that I hate, is that it's telling the victims it's not okay to even fight back. You are awful even if you defend yourself and you try to save yourself. You are an awful bad person. They didn't mean it that way. Well, we're going to give everyone a chance to calm down, but that's not, having experienced that, that's not how it's perceived. Um, they started that crap when I was in high school around here, and it backfired, and they just have stuck to it because it's more important to be correct than to be right. So bullying happens, and I think that that's okay, because if you can't learn to deal with bullies in elementary school, how are you going to learn to deal with them when you're at work? How are you going to learn to deal with them when you're in college? How are you going to learn to deal with them in a healthy and sane way? How are you going to learn to deal with it that if someone swings on you, you have the right and permission to fight back? I'm going to teach my kiddo, that you all know I have, that don't start fights, finish them. You know, if someone's going to hurt you, make sure that they don't hurt you again. Now, I've ended fights by basket holds. I had a guy swing on me, and I got behind him, and I wrapped my legs around him, and I sat down real hard, and the guy couldn't fight back. I didn't start the fight, I finished it. I've also hurt people in a fight, and that was just what was needed. Sometimes you replace the oil in your car, sometimes you replace the whole damn engine. But I did it calmly because nobody had ever taught me how to deal with bullies, and I've explained in other places. I ended up feeling out how to deal with it freshman year of high school, and then it was so much easier. So yeah, as for Aspies, we're different. You're gonna get bullied. If you're in the middle of Utah and you're the only black kid, and the only other kid out there with anything remotely resembling dark skin is from Jordan or Saudi Arabia, you're gonna get bullied. If you're the only white kid in like South Central LA school, you're gonna get bullied. Why? Not because of race, because you're different. If everyone else gets to wear jeans and you have to come to school every day in bright pink clothing, you're gonna get bullied. You get bullied because you're different. Sometimes you just get bullied because some people just bully, and that just happens. So kids need to learn with that. You as an Aspie, us, we have to learn to deal with it. Bullying happens. It will happen more to us. It will happen to us as kids. It will happen to us as teenagers. It will happen to us as young adults, as middle-aged adults, as old adults. It will happen. I am 36 years old, and I am dealing with people in the government, in my local government, that are being bullies. I am not making this up. I recently had to go to a bureaucrat's boss, and I was having to deal with this person for some stuff, and I had to tell her boss that you're basically, I didn't say your employee is being a bully. I had to stick to the truth. Your employee is a liar. Your employee has done this. Your employee has done that. And then that way, because they weren't saying you cannot deal with anybody else. You must deal with this one person. I said, well, that's not okay. And so by knowing how to stand up for myself, by knowing that bullying was not okay because I've learned to deal with bullying and learned to deal with bullies, I was all right. A friend of mine's son, for a long time, due to other issues, including he was never taught how to lose nor how to win, he didn't know what bullying was. And because he didn't know what it was, he decided what it was, which was everyone who counters him. Okay, so if you disagreed with him, if you argued with him, if you said you're wrong and here's why, you were a bully. I want you to understand that. He said something which was factually wrong about history. I said, no, you're wrong. Here it is. Look, here it's in a book. And he said, stop bullying me. You didn't have to do that. I was part of a sit-up challenge. This is a couple of years ago. And I was doing a lot of sit-ups. And he was overweight, and I had made him feel bad. And he decided that I was bullying him because I was doing sit-ups in his presence and making him feel bad. That is an example of someone who doesn't know how to deal with bullies, deciding that every piece of conflict is bullying, and therefore the person causing the conflict, which is never him, is the bully. That's what happens when you can't learn to deal with it. As an example, there are in fact hundreds of examples, thousands of examples of situations where people never learned how to deal with bullies, and bad things happened. So yeah. So bullying happens. I mean, my wife's an NT. She's approximately 10 years younger than me, and she works in as a chef. And there are bullying issues where she works. A former place she used to work at in town bullied her. It did, and she was sick and injured, and she's just sort of overwhelmed. And I didn't couch it in phrase, you're being bullied by your boss. It was other things, like you need to stand up for yourself, you need to do this. And she goes, but then awful things will happen. And she was firmly convinced that by standing up to the bully, bad things would happen, because that is what happened to her in school. That is what happened to her at home. Her parents, my in-laws, don't know how to stand up for themselves, don't know how to fight for things. And there is a healthy way to stand up for yourself, and there is a healthy way to deal with bullies. And until you've been through it, you can't know how to do it. Just like being a great driver means that you've probably been in an accident. because now that you've been through the accident, maybe it's just a minor fender bender, you've been through the stress of that, you know how to deal with that stress, you know you can survive it, and everything's gonna be okay. You get to a situation where, hey, bad things are happening and you're about to get in a car accident, and you go, I got this, and then you do a little magic with the car, boom, you're safe. Hey, so this is going to be seem a little weird. The last video ended because my software and my computer overheated. What you can hear now is the AC I had to turn on. We have a tiny unit that you can mount on any window, and it was rather hot in here. It was over 100 degrees, I believe, and the computer went, ah, thud. So anyway, to finish up the bullying video, basically getting through it is good for you. It teaches you how to deal with it. Being told by other people that standing up for yourself and how to do it appropriately is good for you. A little bit of bullying is good for your character, not to do it, but to receive it. By the way, we will all, at some point, I believe, if you are a healthy individual, a well-rounded individual, you'll probably end up being a bully because you'll probably take something too far. Especially if you're an Aspie, you might end up taking something too far and being perceived as a bully. It happens. Learn to deal with it. Make yourself a better person. Learn what you did, if you can, and how to prevent it. And just sort of accept that you're flawed, that you're not going to do everything perfect, and just try to then prove that wrong. It's a very weird thing. Just, I am flawed, and I will make mistakes, and I'm just going to try to be perfect, but I'm not going to let not being perfect be a problem. But anyway, yes, so if you hear the noise, this AC unit, which is that way, and yeah, just watch out for yourselves out there, and I apologize for the long delay. Questions, comments below. Bye.